The talk of the All Progressives Congress, APC, going for a Muslim ticket continues to dominate the headlines across the country, with majority of people expressing their displeasure at the move by the ruling party. We've also witnessed some members leaving the party since the announcement was made by its standard bearer. However, 9 governors of the All Progressives Congress, APC, yesterday, after an hour-long closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at his private residence in Daura, Katsina State, declared their support for Senator Kashim Shettima as running mate to the party's presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, in the 2023 general election. They expressed confidence in the combination of both Tinubu and Shettima to ensure victory for the party at the presidential election. Joining us on this show this morning as we discuss the Muslim ticket controversy is Arise News analyst Sam Amadi and Ayodele Adewale, member of the All Progressives Congress. Welcome to the morning show, gentlemen. Good morning.
For having me. Good morning.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Well, let me start with an open question, which both of you can take, starting with Sam Amadi. Well, Dr. Amadi, what's your assessment of the controversy that the choice of a Muslim ticket in the APC has generated? Do you think it's a miscalculation, or do you think that, as G.T. Ogunye, who I was quoting yesterday, was arguing, do you think we need to focus on more important issues? How important is religion as a factor? Let me start with you, and then Comrade Adewale can take it up from there. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ruben. I think the starting point should be to clear the misunderstanding that religion is no longer very important for politics or for governance. Looking across the world, you see that many of the politics of developed countries or developed democracies are still obsessed, if you like, with striking the right balance between religious affiliations and religion and public policy. Just a few weeks ago, the U.S. Supreme Court gave out judgments that were pushed by religious communities in the U.S. trying to find that public policy does not damage their religious freedom. If you go to the European countries, the European Human Rights Court, you see that much of its dockets is about striking a balance between religion, inclusion, and politics. So straight away, religion is very critical. Now, when we say this, we are not saying that religion must define public policy. No. We say that religion is a strong sense of identity, and since politics in modern day is about inclusion, you have to pay attention to the fact that optics, symbolism of politics and governance must reinforce a sense of inclusion. This is more so in Nigeria, where we have seen in the last few years the idea that politics has become a serious divisive issue. So it is actually tactless, not sophisticated, even unpolitical, to argue that we should be focusing on everything else but religion. So I would argue actually that this is actually the right time for all the parties to develop a policy platform that addresses the crisis of religion and state in Nigeria. And the starting point is to kind of remove from every platform any suggestion of religious subjection or religious oppression. Now, on practical term, in the last couple of years, there has been this crisis in northern Nigeria, in Middle Belt, even in the South, around religious identity. Even in Southwest, that is cosmopolitan, are probably the world best example of coexistence. We are seeing high courts seized with debate around hijab and all that. So it's now mainstream political issue. And in this particular context, the CAN, the umbrella body, even before primary started, had said clearly that because of the unique circumstance we're in now, they reject Christian, Muslim ticket. They are for an inclusive ticket that responds to the challenges of the country. Again, even before Ahmed Tinubu emerged, CAN had said it, even in a meeting with EU, that their only minimum requirement is that the parties make sure that they don't have Christian, Muslim. So clearly, everybody can see a significant political concern in the country around a ticket that may suggest exclusion, especially as conspiracy has become part of our politics. So it's actually politically not smart and not smart in terms of governance to bedevil any government with the question of legitimacy. So even if it's a winning formula, the question is, you're going to start day one dealing with half of this country questioning whether the government, the presidency, is respectful of something as fundamental to them as their religious faith. So I would say it's a big deal. And every attempt to use whether you're a pilot, you're going to fly a pilot who is a Christian or a Muslim, is actually very, it's not smart at all. Because look, a pilot simply has a transaction. Take me to this point. A government determines your life. A government shapes your life in a substantial way. And all over the world, people want to see whether that is a government that respects their identity and a government that includes them in symbolic and substantial way. So this is a big deal for Nigeria, and I don't think it was a smart decision by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He is a cosmopolitan. He has no history before now of bigotry. But this choice, whether it is realism or tactlessness, suggests to Christians in the North that, look, this government will be reckless, indifferent to the most fundamental thing that shaped their existence in northern Nigeria. If you look at the history of Nigeria, from 1806 to today, the single most important issue in northern Nigeria has been religion. And a very smart, intelligent politician treated that in the most reckless and almost irresponsible way. That is not good. That is not good.
Okay. Comrade Adewale, over to you. Do you agree with Dr. Amadi's assessment that this is not a smart strategy, even if it is a winning formula? And now really, can it be a winning formula for your party?
Well, thank you once again. I was training to hear him, but I do understand from your submission what he had tried to put forward. But I can tell you that from our standpoint, that the choice of Mr. Shettima is a very good choice. I take you down historic lane. During the 1979 elections, Chief Obafemi Awolowo did choose an Easterner as his running mate. He chose a Southern person as his running mate. It is said by most people that Chief Obafemi Awolowo won that election. But again, you remember the two-thirds majority the decision by the court and all that. And when Chief Obafemi Awolowo changed the equation in 1983, he decided to pick a northerner and a northern Muslim. He lost that election with 7 million votes, as against what was pronounced by the court, that he lost it with barely a million votes. We must understand that elections, democracy, it's a system. It is not a religious platform, and it takes a lot of democratic arithmetics to put your system well in order to win elections. I can assure you that at the end of the day, in 2023 February, that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and Mr. Shettima will win the elections all across the country. And if you look at the demography of their strength all across Nigeria, you do know that Asiwaju is very popular in the southern part of this country, especially the southwest. And he also has a lot of following in the southeast and the south-south. In the northern part of the country, if you look at major chieftains of the APC, starting from the President Muhammadu Buhari, and all other allies that are in the APC, you would agree with me that our number is very mammoth. The mammoth number that we have will guarantee our victory come 2023.
Comrade, this question is for both of you. I think I'll start with you, Comrade. Yesterday, I was talking about the fact that this is a break from political convention in Nigeria, this Muslim ticket. What we've had since the dawn of the Fourth Republic has been a balanced ticket. And you have your reasons that you've espoused, such as how there's a previous historical context. Some people have said it might be the winning formula, like Amadi just said now. But the PDP also has jettisoned a convention in terms of rotation of the presidency. They also have their reasons for coming up with a northern candidate, that's the PDP, after what will be 8 years of another northern presidency. Are we not sliding down a slippery slope at this point? What else is going to be sacrificed on the altar of political expediency beyond 2023? So come, I don't know, 2027, could we have a Southwest ticket, Christian ticket, North ticket? I mean, how ridiculous is it going to get in this race to the bottom? I'll start with you, Comrade Adewale.
We can have any interest in the ticket. Either women, man, Christian, Muslim. The selling point is, these candidates, are they acceptable to the people of Nigeria? Are they sellable? How are their programs? Most people will look at the programs of these people, look at their character, look at their pedigree, before looking at their religious leaning. Nigeria is confronted with a lot of problems right now. Religiosity will not solve our problem. I was reading on social media recently about the new city that is being developed in Saudi Arabia. This city is developed out of religious sentiments. It's a cosmopolitan city that will accommodate all interest. I mean, who can believe that the Saudis will create a city where alcohol will be taken or be sold? They are looking beyond religion. Go to the United Arab Emirates, go to Dubai. I mean, they are predominantly Muslims, but their economy is not religious based. The Nigerian economy that we are trying to evolve into a contemporary economy that will take care of all the whims and caprices of all interests of Nigerians should not be religious based. We should look at competence. And in politics, as a student of political history, I will look at how people have failed in the past. I will look at how people have won in the past. And I will look at the example of the June 12th, where we had a Muslim ticket and we still won. A situation where a Southerner defeated a Northerner in his polling booth. This goes to show the acceptability of the personality of the person and the acceptability of the program of these persons. And that is where I am tuned to. I am not oblivious of the fact of people's sentiment trying to play the religious ticket in order to call our party, target a bad name for them to have their way. No. Our hands are on the plow. We are looking forward. We are looking at the numbers. We are looking at bringing more numbers. We are looking at the interest. And the preponderance of interest is that of the Nigerian people to have good roads, to have safety of properties and life, to improve on the economy to the extent that we can drive down the high cost of the naira to the dollar. We are looking at a system where we can bring it at equal par 1 naira to $1, and that is what will move us forward. As you have said that it's going to provide free education to the university level. You can imagine if we have such in our system, it will remove all the equivalent costs in the pockets of the students and of their parents. It will also solve a lot of environmental problems that we have. You can imagine when you have a high-class educated population in Nigeria, driving your program, driving your system, driving the independency of our peculiar capacities will be very, very easy for us to do. Having guaranteed 24 hours of power supply will be something that will come to stay. Bringing policies that will bring the investor into this country to create the investment, that will create jobs, because government alone cannot create the jobs. We need people to come in here to have faith in the government of Nigeria, for us to see ourselves as Nigerians first, beyond ethnic sentiment, beyond religious bents. Who even told you that the African believers, traditional believers in Nigeria, do not want their own person to be president or be vice president? We should look beyond all of these things, look at capacities, and of course look at the numbers.
Of traditionalists, Mr. Amadi, you mentioned the Supreme Court verdict legalizing the wearing of hijabs, which prompted a lawyer called Malcolm Omirabo to go to court dressed in his traditional attire. So on that note of slippery slopes and what seeds that we're planting in this electoral cycle, how far do you think that this could go, since we're at this point throwing long-established political conventions out the door?
Well, I think the most important thing I want to underline here, the statement issued by the former Secretary of Government is very illuminative of where we are and the danger. I use the Supreme Court case to say that even in urban, civilized, enlightened, cosmopolitan Southwest, there is still religious contestation and some significant anxiety about exclusion. And so politics ought to be very careful of that. Now, I didn't hear him well, but let me make 2 points. The first is that what happened with APC ticket is close, but not exactly what happened in PDP. What happened in PDP, people felt it should go to the South or Southeast more particularly, and maybe P2B, some of us think, could have got a ticket. But again, what happened now is that if you look at the PDP ticket, you will see a North and a South. You will see a Christian and a Muslim. Even though we would have preferred it to be a Christian first, or a Southerner first, and a Northerner. But that ticket creates some balance, although many would have wished it was reversed, maybe a Wike or a P2B and Atiku or somebody else. But it satisfies the minimum requirement of inclusion. Now, see what Babashia said. He said, Tinubu doesn't behave this way. Tinubu is sensitive. In his history, in his government, he has shown that sensitivity. But this must be the work of some new advisors who now kind of misdirect Tinubu. I gave 3 implications. One, it says this might be that he has been captured by an Islamist agenda, which is difficult for people, Christians in the North, to swallow. Secondly, Buhari, as much as people tag him with the idea of a fundamentalist unfairly, perhaps, or Islamist unfairly, a hegemonist unfairly, did not cross that red line. Buhari, in spite of his popularity, and in spite of Asiwaju's clear popularity, refused to put a Muslim ticket. So the question then is, why did Tinubu do what ordinarily he couldn't do, and what even Buhari, who carried the toga of a fundamentalist, even though unfairly, still couldn't do? And so Babashia argues that this gives indication that the next government, if Tinubu becomes president, will be a government that is going to be Islamist and engage on war against Christians. So this is a narrative. That's a problem. So right now, you are building up a question of legitimacy and a question of support when Tinubu wins. You are building up the notion of religious persecution, religious conflict in a region whose history has been shaped by the struggle by the Christian Northerners to create self-existence, self-determination, and self-identity. So this is actually a dangerous moment, not because of the 2023 election, but because of the impact and implication for post-2023. And if you put together with Southeast insurgency, with all kinds of challenge against the state, the Nigerian state, arising since the last 4 to 7 years, then it creates serious question as to what is the reason that justify this apart from a cynical ambition to be president, or apart from a misreading of the political calculus. So my sense is that the two parties have put us on some kind of anxiety, but the PDP anxiety is manageable because it does not create an existential threat. But this crisis by PDP, APC, creates an existential threat for Christian Northerners whose history will suggest to them that even Southern Muslims, in this case Tinubu, or the Southern political machine, in this case Tinubu, is complicit to an attempt to deny them legitimacy, self-determination, and identity. It's the equivalent of saying that Tinubu, a minority, a Muslim, which is minority in the South, won the election, and the party machine says, because Muslims are a minority in the South or in the Southwest, we don't think it's a winning proposal. Let's give this ticket to the VP, who is obviously a Yoruba, a Christian, and therefore we have more vote-winning, sentiment in the South. That would be the equivalent. How would the Muslims in the South feel if the opportunity was denied to them? So just put it back to the Christians in the North. How would they feel that they have equal citizenship when the VP came on a platter of gold for them and it was denied them because they're not a hegemonial power? This is a dangerous gambit. Even if it seems smart and effective now, it is going to change the dynamics of a possible Tinubu presidency to be one of conflict, to be one of contention, and the one of rejection. So the question of legitimacy, political legitimacy, comes in focus, if not legal legitimacy. So I don't see how anybody can spin it as a wise, respectful, dignified, and fair decision to have a Muslim ticket in a period where CAD has warned. Everybody has said it before the primaries at all, not targeted at Tinubu or targeted at APC. They have said it clearly. We don't want Christian. We don't want Muslim, because of the very present crisis of religion inclusion and religion oppression and suppression. All the allegations about Islamization or Fulanization, we need to sweep it away with one stroke of a choice of who is a running mate.
Well, Comrade Adewale, let me come to you. You made some claims earlier on. You said, look, this Muslim ticket is just about putting the arithmetics together and getting it right. What is this arithmetics that you talk about? Why are you so certain that the votes will come in favor of the Muslim ticket of the APC, considering the fact that Northern Christians who are members of the APC, they had a meeting. They are threatening not to vote for the APC ticket. Yesterday, Pastor Sam Ayodele was on this same program. He said, look, the Christian body in Nigeria will mobilize to make sure that Christians do not vote for the APC ticket. So, talking about arithmetics, please start deducting the numbers. But I wanted you to talk about the arithmetics you referred to. And then you said Tinubu will make the Naira equal to the dollar one-to-one. We had that before. You these APC people, you are still repeating that. So how is as a strategy, how would that work? You talked about free education. Where is the money for free education all over Nigeria going to come from? So those are three major claims, that you made. But where would those figures come from? Considering the fact that APC members are beginning to leave. At least we can mention three quickly, as we did earlier on the program. Elisha Abo, Daniel Bola, Kenneth Okonkwo. The only man that has returned to the party is Adamu Garuba, who says he's comfortable with the Muslim ticket. Over to you.
Thank you. You've spoken about four things, and I'll pick it one after the other. I will start with the pastors and some people that have expressed their displeasure about the Muslim ticket. But I will look at it as two very quality personality that want to move our system forward. I've not heard CAN, I've not heard PFM, and I've not heard other big religious platform meet in order to say that this is what they want to do, or they are not happy about the choice of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Having said that, on the political arithmetic and interest as is aligned with each other, in 1999, I do remember that the Christian body did discuss with Asiwaju Bola Tinubu with respect to their interests as concerns their schools. And Asiwaju promised them that when he is sworn in and as the governor of Lagos State, that he is going to return mission schools back to the missionaries. He did meet up with his promise, and he returned those schools back to them. I went to St. Gregory's College, Ikoyi, and I can tell you that my school, St. Gregory's College, has developed more than when they met it. And other mission schools have also developed likewise. That is one of the political arithmetics as it concerns interest. Everybody has his interest. You discuss with the candidate about your interest. You put it on the table and you firm it up with agreements. As soon as you win the election, you start meeting up with all of those promises and achieving them. Those are part of the arithmetics. Also, the students of Nigeria did discuss about their interest. We've been discussing this right from when I was in NANS, as the national PRO of NANS, even before I came to NANS, that education must be free at all levels to the university level. I was on your show once before, and I did tell you that part of Asiwaju's program is to guarantee free education at all levels. I remember that Rufai was asking me the same question, and I told them that when you block the leakages in the educational system, when you give full autonomy to the educational system, when you fund it rightly, because we have different streams of funding. You have the Educational Trust Fund is there. You have the quota that is given to education from the national budget. And so many other streams of fundings are there. The problem is corruption and the leakages that we have there. When you block it, you tackle it, then these things will work and you provide more infrastructure there. I talked about bringing the Naira 1 to the dollar as one. It is very possible. Look, Asiwaju has the political capital to bring in investors to this country. If people believe in you, I will also say it again, during the June 12th, as soon as Chief MKO Abiola was perceived to be winning the election, a lot of investors were coming to the Nigerian system. The cost of commodities were going down. Similarly, you are going to see these things. Asiwaju did a lot to have helped ExxonMobil while in Nigeria to block leakages. And those blockage helped ExxonMobil to have its headquarters in Victoria Island that you see today. They were tenants at the CMS bookshop. And most of these leakages also improve the economic activity of that company. Look, he is an auditor and he's an accountant. Mr. Shettima is a banker. He knows how to raise funds, and he also knows how to manage funds and the economy. These two cerebral brains are coming together to fuse as one. for the purpose of developing our economy. Our economy will improve. It will improve greatly. The only thing we need is to provide more infrastructure, to provide security, and of course to provide the energy requirement that we need to boost our investment and of course our society. Looking at security, when Asiwaju came in 1999, Lagos was bedeviled with a lot of crimes. Banks were being robbed here and there. People could hardly drive the vehicles on the road. He came up with a system called the RRS, the Rapid Response Squad. He did not just stop there. He also came up with an independent funding system to fund that program. And today, if not for the RRS, you and I will not have the seemingly security network that has improved the social interaction and economy of Lagos. Mr. Shettima also did almost similar thing as it relates to their contemporary issue in Borno State. He created the civilian JTF. The civilian JTF, if you cascade it higher, can be likened to state police structure. What we just need is a policy that will create state police. And I can guarantee you that as we journey on, by the grace of God, when they get into power, a bill will be sponsored to the National Assembly for creation of state police. We all need state police. You can see what the Amotekun have been able to do in curbing the spate of kidnapping and other dastardly acts within their communities. We need to move forward along that trajectory. And of course, in agriculture, in technology, and in many of these things, Asiwaju have been able to demonstrate his capacity and his strength. Remember when EcoNet came to Nigeria firstly, people were afraid to invest in EcoNet. People felt it was going to collapse. It wasn't going to work. Asiwaju took the bold step to invest in EcoNet. And within the time of about 2 years, Lagos got a lot of gains from that investment. He did not only stop at that. Remember that Asiwaju brought Enron to Nigeria for independent power supply. It was the PDP that killed that dream. If that dream had survived, by now Lagos would have been selling electricity to all states in Nigeria, and of course, all over Africa would have been doing that. And that even midwife, the independent power supply that a lot of companies have taken advantage of, and they've been helping to create modular independent power supply. In Delta State, an IPP project that was put in place by my friend, a company that I partly work with, created an IPP project for them, and that is what they are using to power their state secretariat now, and most of the public utilities that you have in Delta State. And we've also done it in so many areas. Look, Asiwaju is a very brilliant man. Give him that. And he also knows how to hunt for headheads. These headheads will come into different strata of Nigerian society in order for them to develop it.
Well, thank you, Comrade. Mr. Amadi, what are your thoughts? Is it possible that come September 28th, which is when presidential campaign officially will start, all these issues about the Muslim ticket would have petered out and will all be more focused on some of the issues that Comrade Adewale just spelled out that are really plaguing Nigeria? Or do you predict a flood of columns like the one like Babachi Lawal has published today? And we've also seen defections from APC as a result of this Muslim ticket. It hasn't quite been a mass exodus. Do you think that there will be more people leaving and expressing their outrage in that manner? Or will this just end up as a storm in a teacup?
Well, I think like a strategist, Adewale would like it to die, and then so he can talk more about Asiwaju's achievement. But look, I don't want to be deflected because, look, I understand economic development, I understand development all over the world, and the first thing you secure in development is elite consensus. You secure a stable political situation order before you develop. So this talk around Enron, of course Enron was a disaster. This talk around what Asiwaju has done about education and all that does not compensate. The logic is simple. Now look, trading your religious sensibility and even survival for Northern Christians for this development that Asiwaju will give you. That is deceptive. And that's what most people will not listen to this campaign. Now, by the way, Asiwaju is not Abiola, MK Abiola. MK Abiola was an international businessman, a philanthropist, became a politician accidentally. Asiwaju is a politician. He hasn't got that international clout in the economic world to attract anything of significance. So let's not overhype Asiwaju. Kazim himself was a provincial banker, basically a banker in Nigeria at some medium to high level, not an IMF or World Bank chief who will crowdsource investment. So this talk about they're going to bring investment is hogwash. Let's solve the factual problem of coexistence. Let's resolve the conflict that dissipate and drag against mobilizing resources for development. Look at Singapore, look at South Korea, look at the East Asians. What happens is that leaders who are attuned to their people release the energies and mobilize resources to build their society. This is not about a Capone or any Top Gun, going to Washington to unlock El Dorado for Nigeria. If you can't respond to the yearning of your people, if you are too self-minded, selfish, to focus on your ambition, that you don't mind plunging the country into conflagration, then are you a transformative leader? So this talk is going to be political spin. They're going to come at us saying, look, we're going to give you development. Just like Femi Adesina says, forget your land, save yourself. This is like an ultimatum. Guys, you have to forget your religious identity, forget your existential crisis you are facing. Just trust us to take this country to a place you've never seen before. This is political speak. It doesn't address the concrete experience of people who are trapped in violence, who are losing their loved one every day because of religious conflict. And by the way, Shettima, a smart guy, brilliant, was at the heart of the crisis of Boko Haram. And still today, some people, maybe with no evidence, tag him with serious dereliction of duty as governor, that even some kind of connivance or collaboration or involvement that led to that big crisis. And so to whitewash him as this elite world banker who is going to transform this country, and therefore we play dead brain to the real challenges of coexistence, to the realities of religious and ethnic crisis and struggle in our country, that we need to preserve that social order before we unleash the great human capital we need to create a country. This is not time for someone to come from Washington and tell us about the recipe for economic growth. We know how to grow the economy. We want first stable polity. We want coexistence. We want a people whose human rights and freedom are protected. And as Amadi says, there is no development outside freedom. People have to have a sense that they are part of a whole and have a sense of settled expectation. Then you can mobilize them and create real transformation. So if you look at the history of the East Asian development, one clear thing we see is that they benefited from capacity of leaders to put people together and create a consensus around transformation. If Ahmed Tinubu cannot express that level of emotional intelligence to understand and even consult with Khan, I know the Khan leadership, nobody consulted with them, can't put out a clear statement that they will oppose every Muslim, Christian ticket. And Ahmed Tinubu went ahead. It is both an insult, a provocation. And of course, the argument is simple. We have the numbers. You guys cannot mobilize yourself to constitute a voting bloc. But my prediction is this, that yes, Nigerians are going to be divided around many issues, but I think there will be a strong residue of protests by Christians in the north, by Muslims in the north, Muslims in the south, everybody who thinks that Nigeria's first objective is to bring our people together, unify us, resolve this very endemic religious ethnic conflict, and reset the country on a path where we can best optimize our human and natural resources. Irrespective of being a Christian or Muslim, I think this ticket will be rejected before the polls and maybe at the polls. But even if they win, because you can win fairly, you can win unfairly, you can win because you control state apparatus, you can win because the electoral management body helps you. What I'm saying is that beyond winning, this ticket has a capacity to mobilize sentiment, mobilize ethnic profiling, mobilize hate crime, and set Nigeria back and put Nigeria in a conundrum of avoidable religious conflict. And religious conflict is the most damaging conflict because it's not amenable to reason, it's not amenable to facts, because it's about narrative of fear and survival.
Okay, I get all of these arguments, but for both of you, very quickly, I'll start with Comrade Ayodele, and then we can come back to you, Sam Amadi. Is there any guarantee that Nigerians will vote in the 2023 elections based on religion, considering the fact that they have choices, don't they, 18 political parties? And if religion is as important as we have all reminded ourselves, okay, should we just put it in the Constitution that for every election there must be a balance and that no party should propose a same-faith ticket? Would that settle the problem? Let me start with you, Comrade Adewale, and then we'll go quickly to Amadi.
Well, I want to advise that we don't embed that in our Constitution because it will not create the freedom of rights and all of that. Everyone have rights to choose. You have right to life, and you have right to association. Moving forward, I want to say that majority of our people will vote along programs. They will vote along antecedents, and they will vote along commitments, and to see whether you have in the past meet up with your promises or not. The beauty of all of this is that the three major contending candidates across the three political parties are people who have been tested. The people will determine whether they can be trusted or not with public responsibilities. Asiwaju have been trusted in the past with public responsibilities. He has walked his talk. His programs stand tall among all of them. He developed the Lagos economy from a 600 million economy into a 16 billion economy per month before he left it. His successive successors have now moved it to over 45 billion per month. I think that is the kind of person that the Nigerian state need. Somebody that can improve on our economy. Remember one of his protege, Mr. Fowler, when he came into the FIRS, he also improved the internally generated revenue of Nigeria from a mega sum to what we have now. After oil, the next thing that brings a lot of funds to the Nigerian economy are taxes that have been able to be generated within the Nigerian state. In England, they do not have oil. They rely on taxes. And the major thing is that the taxes must be made to function for the people and not strangulate the people. Asiwaju have been able to demonstrate that you can provide qualitative education for your people. He provided free GCE forms, free WAEC forms for all students in Lagos, regardless of where you have come from, whether you are Nigerian or not, whether you are a Lagos indigene or not. As long as you school in Lagos, you have the right to write your WAEC for free. And he has also been able to create more agencies that have created jobs. Look, when I told you that it is possible to make the Naira 1 to the dollar, it is very possible. When you create opportunities for investment to bring to create a lot of jobs, and you start production will lead to exportation. When you export the goods and services, the next thing that we import are the foreign exchange that we need in our economy. And of course, he can also monitor the lost revenue that we have in Nigeria and block those leakages. Do you know how much we have lost in the pilfering of our crude oil in Nigeria? Asiwaju can block that leakage. He can make sure that the youth of Niger Delta are engaged to the extent that people would not find it fashionable to go and start busting the pipeline in order to pollute the environment and, of course, create all of the mess that you see all around. Asiwaju will invest massively in agriculture. He has done it very well by working with Fadama here in Lagos and, of course, improving the services of the Ministry of Agriculture in Lagos to the extent that now Lagos has the biggest rice mill that will be launched very, very soon in the whole of the the whole of the Western Africa. Lagos has the biggest rice mill and all of this. Asiwaju knows how to build human capital. You understand? And he has also invested massively in sport. He was the one that also helped to create the Teslim Balogun Stadium that you have just opposite the National Stadium. And a lot of Lagos indigenes have engaged in so many vocational skills to the extent that they are very independent right now. And show me one of these candidates who foreign government have come to discuss with at home. Severally, you have seen the British High Commissioner, the American ambassador, going to consult him in his home. Do you think those people don't know what they are doing? Do you think they don't see the future? Do you think they don't know who can handle Nigeria very, very well? He has an international strength that we need in Nigeria that can help us improve our communities and our society. He is loved by so many people. He's loved by all. Asiwaju can bring all the warring people on the table in order to calm their nerves and bring everybody and push them forward. Asiwaju is loved by the Easterners. He's loved by the people of the South. He's loved by the people of the North. Asiwaju is a unifier. I just pray and I wish and I hope that the Nigerian people will look at his antecedents and vote wisely and vote for Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
Comrade, okay, you've done a lot of political advertisement, but let me come to you, Amadi, to help address the issue again directly. Same-faith ticket, not allowed. Is it possible to put a clause like that in the Constitution? Or do you agree with Comrade who says that would be a violation of Section 38?
No, I agree that it should be put. Let me tell you this about constitutions. If you look at constitutions all over the world, the Swiss constitution, there are constitutions that create devices for stability. So, for example, in some countries, there are rotations clearly in the constitution. You lose, but by the way, in Athens where democracy started, nobody governs more than 24 hours. The notion of democracy is that everybody governs. So a constitution can put safeguards to respond to issues that are problematic. So I agree that maybe we should put in languages that are not problematic the needs for balance and diversity. In fact, some have argued that the Abacha constitution that provided for rotation and 6 presidencies is superior. And I went back to read Professor Arthur Lewis' book, Politics in West Africa, the first black Nobel in economics. And he argued for what we call constitutionalism, which is let all the parts, pluralism, let everybody participate in governance. So it won't be a bad idea to have such provisions in the Constitution. But back to the question whether the people are going to vote religion. No, they will not vote religion. And I agree with Adewale. They're going to vote for character, capacity, and competence. On character, they will look at a man who is honest, trustworthy. They also look for a man who has respect for diversity, religious and ethnic. And on the character question, Asiwaju has failed woefully. Now, capacity, yes, maybe, but again, Lagos is not the product of Asiwaju alone. Fashola, 8 years of outstanding performance. So the fraud of attributing all growth in Lagos to Tinubu is actually what it is. It's a fraudulent manipulation. Asiwaju was 8 years governor. Tinubu was, Fashola was 8 years governor. Amadi was 4 years governor. And now Shayolu is governor. So And again, Lagos does not score very high in any of the human development indicators. It's not number one on education. In fact, as chief executive of NEC, Lagos was listed as least educated part because of the indigents. I was loyal to Morocco when they were evicted many years ago. Today, the Morocco crisis remains unresolved. Slums are still there. So there are two Lagos. Lagos of the elites who are making themselves rich, and the Lagos of the poor who are left behind. So let's not attribute, and again, let me repeat, Asiwaju has no international clout that will help us to overlook this fundamental flaw. Atiku Abubakar went to Turkey, he met with the leaders. Obi has met with almost everybody of importance. So these politicians are meeting with these dignitaries and diplomats. It does not underwrite Asiwaju's exceptional network. And I say he has not had such advantage that will now make us say, let's tolerate this grave crisis, this fundamental flaw of disrespect for diversity because we are electing Obama, or we're electing Okonjo-Iweala, or we're electing Obasanjo, or any of such internationally renowned person, or even Chimamanda, cultural icons who can command the front page of New Yorker or New York Times or Times or Newsweek. Asiwaju is a great political tactician, strategist, a local kingpin, if you like, or a local entrepreneur, if you like, and not an international figure that we are going to compensate such big crisis, such flaw by saying, sit back, enjoy the Asiwaju magic. There's no such magic. And so the real question is, does it show character to disregard the cry of Khan, to disregard the cry of your confidants like Babashir, to disregard the concern of almost half of this country, Christian Muslims are half, to disregard the existential crisis of northern Christians? Does it show a character of trustworthiness, a character of sensitivity? Is this somebody we can trust? And the question will end by saying, no, no.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Amadi. Lebanon also has their national pact, whereby their president must be a Maronite, their prime minister Sunni, speaker of their parliament Shia. So it's all very delineated to reflect the way the country is run. Do we have more time?
Well, we still have...
Do we?
We have 3 minutes.
Okay, so can I just quickly ask, because I didn't quite get your response to this, comrade. I want to know your particular response to the Babachi Lawal column, its content, its incendiary content, and also his possible motives. He made very strong allegations, including that the Ganduje Foundation is in the business of converting Christians to Islam, that APC will be rejected down ballot as a result of this Muslim satanic resort, is how he described it, that Governor or Senator Kashim Shettima greased palms to get that vice presidential nomination. What is your take? And obviously that Asiwaju Tinubu is surrounding himself with the wrong company these days. What is your take? Mr. Amadi?
Hello, comrade.
Oh, I can't get comrade. Mr. Amadi, can I have your response to the column and the possible motives that inspired it?
We have just 2 minutes to go.
Babashir has been a controversial...
Dr. Amadi, we have just 2 minutes or less.
A controversial... okay, sure. He has been a controversial person, in my view. I don't usually like him a lot, but he seems to have some level of pungency and clarity in his writing. That, I read it carefully. What I saw reinforces my view that this is somebody who has been a Tinubu loyalist. Even when I was in government briefly under Buhari, I knew that he was very close to Tinubu. He has been a Tinubu man out and out. And so this is like in-house rejection. This is like somebody in the kitchen cabinet worried, the equivalent of what you saw with people like Bolton, with Trump. People who are insiders and saying something strange has happened to our man. He has been captured by a very nefarious group. And that's what he's saying. he thinks that Tinubu ordinarily will not touch this with a long spoon. But now Tinubu has been captured. But I doubt if it is true, because if it is true that Tinubu sold to Buhari the idea of a Muslim ticket, then it means he's not that, he would not necessarily feel that this is a terrible problem. I think it might be hubris. This is a great guy who has achieved so much politically. This is a man who has faced down opposition and won them. So at a point in that trajectory, you feel almost invincible. You can't lose. You can't be defeated. And Babashir pointed to that. But there are certain battles that are both physical, if you like, spiritual, epistemic, cultural. Everything is at stake in this war. So I think that maybe Tinubu would have been, encouraged by his previous victories to go ahead, because he fancies himself as the Awolowo or the MKO, a man who everybody loved, in an era where religion was not a political tool. You see, we have always had fundamentalism. We've had Maitasin, we've had all this, but it was never part of a mainstream political discourse. So in the days of MKO, his magnetic personality plus low energy religious politics made it easy for a Kingibe Abiola ticket.
Amadi,
but we are not in a new
Dr.
era.
Amadi,
Politics are contextual.
Please, we need to manage time. I told you we are just 2 minutes left, right, Tunu?
Yes, you
did.
Yes,
please.
So, Comrade, what's your response to this incendiary column written by Babachir Lawal and the allegations that he had made? I'm not sure if you heard my question to Mr. Amadi earlier. He made some serious allegations about the Ganduje Foundation basically being a tool of indoctrination, the APC being rejected down ballots as a result of what he characterizes as a disaster, calamity, satanic result, and that Asiwaju Tinubu is in the wrong company these days, is keeping the wrong type of company and surrounded by sycophants, and that President Buhari should quickly step in and, make him change his vice presidential pick, and also the possible motives of Babachir Lawal in writing this column.
Well, my view to things like this is that he who alleges must prove, and you must prove with evidential fact. On the saying that Asiwaju is keeping companies that will not help him in life or help him win election, I will say that that is fake news. The same company that he has kept to win the presidential primaries are still the same company that he's keeping. And that company has helped him to pick the right choice. He has made his own decision. Every man must make a decision in life. What is worse is for you not to make any decision. And you must be ready to take responsibility for your decision. Asiwaju have made the right decision by picking Mr. Shettima. And I believe that the duel of these two wonderful, competent individuals will help to win the 2023 election. Even if he has picked any other person, people will still come up with issues because they were not picked. You understand? That is how this mundane is. But the issue right now, looking at the arithmetic on the ground, looking at the interest on the ground, looking at the programs that they are bringing towards repairing the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian society, I believe that Asiwaju have made the right decision. History, posterity will judge us right after 2023, and I know that a lot of these people putting out this information are going to come back to the table as soon as their interest is met with. Politics is about interest. Most of these people might be throwing these issues up because they want their interest to be embedded in the global interest of the party. But we must understand that mundane interest should not override the collective interest. Okay, the collective interest of the APC right now is that we are going to stick to the charter of the party The programs of the party, the programs of Asiwaju as embedded in the program of the party, that is what is most important.
Well,
we must guarantee security of lives and property. We must improve on the infrastructure. We must bring down the cost of the naira, the dollar to the naira, so that our economy can improve.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Dr. Sam Amadi and Comrade Ayodele Adewale, thank you very much for joining us this morning on The Morning Show.